dismissals from political parties. So he's thrown out of the Social Democrats in January 16th, 1930. He soon goes to Berlin. He's expelled from the German Communist Party early in 1933. He's expelled from the German Psychoanalytic Association in 1933, and thus is not a member of the International Psychoanalytic Association, though he only finds that out in 1934 when he goes to Lucerne. That's the background. I hope, again, that I'm not talking too quickly. And I was only half an hour, that's not bad. I want to move from this political background to Reich's thinking about social organization and about what a society would look like governed under self-regulation and under work democracy. Any short, quick questions before I move to this next part? I'll take that as all. I'm going to skip now from 1930, Reich's leaving Vienna, to 1938. This is an image. Where is that image? I thought I had opened it up. This is an image from the Zeitschrift for, well, the Journal for Political and Psychological, the Journal for Political Psychology and Sex Economy. That is, it was his organ, and you can't see anything, can you? Oh, that's too bad. Well, maybe if I make it a little larger. Okay, well, you can't see it. Doesn't matter unless you read German. It won't be very useful anyway. Sorry about that. This is from Reich's journal that was edited by Sigurd Hull. Am I saying it properly? Oh, God. And Håvard Nielsen spoke about Hull and the book that he wrote that was sort of based on Reich's life, at the end of Reich's life. And he was very close to Reich. His wife, Nick Wahl, was also a very important player in Norway. So Reich is in Oslo at this time when he writes what you cannot read, but in German, well, let me show you the English translation of this. The German word here means sort of things that are matter of course. Here, and this is an image from that journal. Here's an archival image that's very interesting. This one might be easier to read. This is an English translation of that page. No, you can't read it. Can you lighten it up? No, I can't. Sorry, it's very clear. It's very clear on my computer. We could all hustle around the computer.
I'll just read it.
I will read it. But this, I wanted to show you this because this is the first place where love, work, and knowledge appears in Reich's writings. Actually, I do have a document that would be easier to read, but I want you to see this for a couple reasons. Note it's dated 1934, 1937, and note the language here is still very much Marxist. If you go down, note the, where is it? The working individual of one country has more in common with the working individual of another country than he has with the parasite of his own country. And note the next one, workers in all vital professions save society from the tyranny of parasitism. And this is the kind of language that Marxists would often use to refer to capitalists. And in fact, there's Myron Sharaf tells this story of Reich refusing to help out an aunt of his who had been very wealthy and had fallen on hard times because he said she was a parasite. I don't know if Sharaf's story is correct. This comes from Reich's sister-in-law, the woman who is married to Robert. In any case, what I find interesting about this document is that Reich planned to publish this in 1956, in July of 56. He planned, after Contact with Space, he planned a whole new journal called the Corps Command Bulletin. And I've seen this material in the archives, and this was part of the Corps Command Bulletin, So at the very end of his life, he's still returning to these ideas that had been formed in the late 20s and into the 30s, including ideas that sound rather Marxist in nature.
Well, wait a minute, the things you just read, were they written in 34, 37, or he wrote those in 56?
No, he wrote this in 34, 37, but he was planning to publish it in 56. That's what I find so interesting.
But you don't know what he was going to do with it in the context for it.
Oh, it's going to be in this journal. And you can see in the archives.
This is a journal.
I'm sorry. It was going to be a publication, like a periodical. Corps Command Bulletin, Volume 1, July 1956. It never occurred. I'm encouraging the Trust to publish this document because it's a fascinating document.
And he was where in 56?
In the United States. He was in Washington.
And that was the language of the left in the
No,
United States?
no, but not Reich. Reich was totally, he's anti-communist.
Right, no, but I'm saying that the language there is very similar to the language. I know
That is true.
was not, so
That's true.
that he was planning to publish it doesn't seem that certain.
At the time that he wrote this, he was still actively, and we can debate whether he had joined or quit, or but this was still a product in the journal Sex Economy of essentially a Marxist, rhetoric.
Okay, let me
just quickly to answer. Reich said actively at the end that he considered himself still to be a Marxist.
I was about to point this out.
Sorry.
Well, it's okay. What's interesting is this document. I want to try to answer your question. This document was written in 37, maybe.
I understand that.
He published it in 38 in German, in his journal. At the end of his life, when the wolves are at the door, he envisions a new publication called Corps Command Bulletin. Part of that new publication was to be one of his early work democracy articles called Further Problems of Work Democracy from 1941, which is thoroughly Marxist in language. He also envisioned publishing this document with that language unexpurgated, still talking about parasitism. Another thing in this Corps Command Bulletin is his claim that Marx was the first anti-Marxist, that he talks about how Marx disbanded the first Marxist party. So he's trying to, in some way, rehabilitate Marx in the midst of his very firm anti-communism. That he was very anti-communist. In fact, he, at times, seems to suggest that the Food and Drug Administration was somehow being manipulated by Moscow, etc. It's a little unclear whether he really believed that or he thought it was a characterological conspiracy. This is the kind of thing that I used to argue about with Dr. Sobey in the old days. In any case, I don't want to get stuck on that. What I find interesting is that this is the first time the words love, work, and knowledge appear in this 1938 document. And here, let me give them to you in a better way to read. So, and we can return to this in the Q&A if you wish. This is those sentences that you couldn't read. They occur as the last two sentences of the first Work Democracy article, The Natural Organization of Work and Work Democracy from 1939. And it's a little bit different from the motto. It's love's happiness, knowledge, and work are the sap of our lives, or the juice. Do we have any German readers here? This word, softa. It's like the juices of our life. They should also, I'm sorry, this is running off, they should also condition it. And as you know, this translates into Reich's motto, love, work, and knowledge, or the wellsprings of our life, they should also govern it. I want to try to unpack that now. What does he mean when he says love, work, and knowledge should govern our lives? That is, I think he's saying that these key ideas or values or concepts or fundamental human needs or even instincts, we could think of them, not some government, not some political party, not some laws, not some state should govern our lives. Our lives should be governed by love, work, and knowledge. And I refer to them as instincts quite intentionally. A newborn baby, instinctually, is curious about the world, immediately is looking around, and as a child develops, what do children do? They're opening doors, they're pulling out drawers, they are curious, and unless their curiosity is squelched, it develops And as adults, we want to know about the world, unless our natural curiosity has been destroyed.